welcome to the Terminal Velocity Comic Book Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Scott, and actually today I'm your only host, flying solo for today. Just going to give a quick kind of recap of what happened in the King in Black storyline that wrapped up about a week ago. We haven't really been great about coming back to the podcast and doing our finished storyline recaps. So kicking it off here with Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman's King in Black #5, wrapping up the entire storyline that they've kind of been building to since they launched Venom a few years ago, and after the Absolute Carnage stuff, all of the symbiote kind of magic, I'll say magic, that they've been working on for the past few years, and wanted to kind of revisit this story from, I'll be honest, a not too enthusiastic symbiote fan. And so let's just get into it. So King in Black kind of #5 catches up with us after the, I guess, Captain Universe energy entity, I guess is what we would call it, has taken over Eddie Brock and brought him back to life, merged him again with the Venom symbiote, and they are now going to be facing off against Null for the final fate of Earth, as it's been wrapped in his kind of darkness and everything. We've got inside this issue, we've got the Silver Surfer kind of making his last stand against Null, and really just buying time until Eddie Brock can show up with the light energy now that he has to face off against this darkness. An interesting thing that happens in this one is, as the rest of the heroes have kind of been let free or freed from the control of Null's symbiote, they actually come rushing into the fight. So we've got Thor, who's back in it again. We've got Captain America and Wolverine and Spider-Man. And Spider-Man actually has a feeling that I was very strongly having at the time, which was, I hate this symbiote stuff. And he calls it out right in the middle of it. So I felt that was a nice little nod to all of us non-symbiote fans that have been reading this storyline. And so we've got them all kind of showing up to this last battle. And as they're about to get ready to actually start, Venom just comes crashing into the ground and kind of tells everyone to back off, and does an interesting thing where he calls over to Mjolnir and it comes to him. Not only does the hammer come to him, but he actually summons the Silver Surfer's surfboard, which has now been turned into a sword, and actually merges the two of them together and creates this kind of cosmic powered battle axe that he then just starts thumping the hell out of Null with. And Null's doing all of his monologuing, as a bad guy tends to do, about, oh, you think you're so powerful, all of this and all of that. You forgetting the one thing is that I still control your son. Your son is a part of me. Talking obviously about Dylan and the control over the symbiotes that he seems to have. Now, one of the things that I actually found problematic about this King in Black storyline is a lot of the plot points don't happen within the core crossover title. And I think that's a problem that we've had, and a problem that I think we probably talked about a bunch of times on the podcast, about some of these crossovers that have a main title and then all these tangential tie-ins that go on. And this really feels like something that you had to be reading alongside at least the core Venom title, and then some of the tertiary tie-ins. I obviously wasn't reading some of those, so I do feel a little bit out of the loop on some of that story and some of the character building that they did in there. And I don't know whether that's my own problem or if that's a problem of the event series itself. I would say that a reader shouldn't have to pick up every single title that's on the go that's got these tie-ins, especially when some of them don't actually tie in to the main story. So I feel like that's more on the publisher side, that they really need to kind of rein in the core storyline and make sure that the major plot points that are happening are actually happening within that core title. That's a little bit of an aside. That's just my feeling. Take it for what you will. Leave me some comments if you'd like. If you disagree with me, please feel free to send some of those comments into us. Happy to read them, but that's my feeling on the whole crossover issue. Anyway, getting back to it, we've got Null taking flight and flying away, Venom sprouting his wings like he has done a few times within the series, taking flight after him, and really just pummeling the hell out of Null. Um, Null seemed to be this big bad up until this point, and he very easily gets his ass handed to him in this fight, which was again a little bit of an anticlimactic moment when Thor has fought him and then gotten beaten, when you could see that Silver Surfer was going to be standing up to him and getting beaten. Another thing that happened in the Silver Surfer is that he was no longer black. He was back to his silver form. And I feel like I missed a piece on when that happened. That must have happened in one of the panels, number 4, maybe, and I just completely missed it. Or it happened in one of the tie-ins, and I again completely missed out on that because I wasn't reading them. But anyway, he was back to his form. I will say the battle axe kind of component is really cool. It was a fun fight, even if it was overly one-sided. Eddie Brock was able to handle him way too easily, ends up flying him out of Earth, out of the little shield that Null has created, and basically burning him up in the sun. Takes him right into the sun and just kind of throws his body in there and lets him be completely incinerated by the power of the sun. All the while still claiming that he still has a control over Dylan, and that, you know, he may be defeating him, but he's not defeating the darkness, and the darkness still exists. So Eddie has got to go back to Earth, and he's got to take care of that. And he basically rips the power out of Dylan, and by doing so becomes the King in Black himself, fulfilling the titular component to the entire storyline, taking over. The king is dead, long live the king type of thing. And ends up being what they're going to be continuing on within the rest of the Venom storyline, and I guess the rest of the Marvel universe now, is that Venom and Eddie are now the kings of the symbiotes. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see where that kind of piece of a storyline goes, if you're remotely interested in symbiotes. I am not overly interested in symbiotes, so I don't really know that I'm going to have a lot of interest in where this is going to go, and whether having Venom as a king is going to be a good thing or a bad thing. And how exactly they're going to have that play out on Earth, or if Venom is now going to turn into a cosmic character and once again go off into outer space and deal more with the Guardians of the Galaxy and different things like that. I haven't done a lot of research on that to see if that's where the story is going. I know Donny Cates and Stegman are going to be wrapping up their run on Venom fairly soon, so I don't know if this is just going to be a plot point that's opened up and somebody else can take it wherever they want to. But that's kind of where Venom is sitting at the end of all of this. Again, Venom has never been one of my favorite characters, has never been one of the great storylines. If I were to give this entire event a review, I would probably give it about a 3.5 out of 5, only because I don't feel it had the ultimate payoff that I think the story was ultimately building to. Like I say, the final fight between Null and Eddie was very much one-sided. It didn't look like it was much of a challenge for him at all, given everything else that Null's been able to do up to this point, flaunting all of his powers, showing you how powerful he was. You didn't get that in this final issue, and I felt very much let down by that. I wanted it to be more of a combat between the two of them, a much bigger fisticuffs, a little bit more of, almost getting beaten and then rallying back, and then a little bit more of that kind of story, as opposed to just a complete just getting his ass handed to him Null was just made out to be very weak in that final battle against, I guess, the Captain Universe energy is the reason for that, but it didn't have that kind of gravitas that really we would have been looking for this final build up on this fifth issue. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts and opinions. I wish Andrew was here to provide some of his interest or his side of the story, being somebody that actually likes Venom and likes the symbiote stuff. It would have been great to hear kind of his opinion on things. But unfortunately, he couldn't be with us today. Um, but if you have any thoughts or opinions that you'd like to share with us, please by all means send them to us at terminalvelocitypodcast@gmail.com or in the comment section on the website at terminalvelocitypodcast.com. We'd be happy to hear from you, or at Comics Terminal on the socials, whether that's Instagram or Twitter. We're on both of those. So again, this is a bit of a shorter episode. I don't have as much banter to go back and forth with. But that was kind of my opinions, and I wanted to make sure we were still providing some episodes out to our fans, make sure that we've still got the content coming out to you guys. So like I say, if you have any thoughts, opinions, if you have any burning comics that you'd like us to read or get our thoughts on anything, by all means send us an email or a comment, send us a tweet, whatever you happen to be. Reach out and let us know, and we will dig into it. But until next week, I will be signing off, and I look forward to talking to you. We're going to have a wrap-up episode both on WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We're really going to be looking at getting better about finishing the storylines that we ultimately started off with, instead of doing these halfway through the story and then never revisiting it. We did that a little bit too much. We're going to get better about actually providing our thoughts and opinions on the conclusions going forward. So yeah, that's the opinions. That's the episode today. A very short one for you, but wanted to get it out to you nonetheless. And until next time, we will see you later.
It sucked.